What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. Before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and that the player ratings and potentials of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you can sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who just want a few recommendations on what players to sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. And in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, is there a better RTG team in German football right now than these guys? Maybe, but I'm not sure. FC Schalke of the Veltins Arena in Gelsenkirchen, who, as we know, have really fallen from grace over the past decade or so. You go back not too long ago, they were in the Champions League, but now, of course, in the 2 Liga. This year, in the second tier of German football, they managed to win the league title. They're going back to the Bundesliga for next season, and they're a great team to do an RTG with. Now, as you see, Schalke, they are a 3.5-star team. They've got a great starting transfer budget for a 2 Liga side as well, of around £17 million. And there are a couple of decent young players in this team as well. You've got Aydin, the young wing-back. You've got Malik Thiaw, who's the young centre-half as well. But it's definitely a side which is going to need a rebuild, no doubt about that. And it's certainly what you call a long-term RTG product. Yes, there are a couple of decent youngsters here, but there's also quite a lot of ageing players that need to be shipped on ASAP. Now, Schalke, as I alluded to there, really solid team. They've got 3 fantastic kits. They've got the real stadium, the Veltins Arena, one of the rare stadiums in the game with a retractable roof. It's such a shame, though, that you can't retract the roof, or have the roof closed, I should say, during games. Have the option to do that, because that would be so cool, wouldn't it? But even so, it's a really cool stadium. It's a bit of an iconic club, Schalke, and again, they're back to the Bundesliga for next season. They've got a new manager in charge now, Frank Kramer, who was part of the Bielefeld side, who were relegated last season from the Bundesliga, though I think he got sacked before their actual relegation. But even so, new manager for next season, and again, they're a fantastic fit for a road to glory. They really are. Now, there are a few players the deals are coming at the end of the year. I'd only give one contract out there. That's to Martin Freisel. He is your current starting goalkeeper here at Schalke. He's 28 years old and only 71 overall. He does grow a couple of ratings to 73, but I would recommend giving him a new deal, because in the 2 Liga, 71 overall is more than good enough to be a starting goalkeeper. If not, he can be your backup. I'd definitely give him a new contract, though. You can sell him for more than you get after a couple of years or so, as he's still going to get slightly better. I'd also recall a few players with Schalke as well. They've got quite a few players out on loan right now. Kabak at Norwich, Harit at Marseille, Rabi Matondo, the Welsh winger, is currently in Belgium as well. I'd recall those players there, because they've all got first team quality, and in the 2 Liga, they're more than good enough to be first 11 players, if not, then on the bench. In terms of the transfer list, though, Schalke, like I alluded to there are lots of players that are in their 30s that need to be shipped on here for the long-term future with Schalke. They don't have a place to play in this long-term RTG that you'll be doing at the Veltins Arena. One player I'd sell is Ralph Farman. I know he's been there for over a decade, but it's time to move him on. Get whatever kind of cash you can for him and buy a new starting goalkeeper to compete with Freisel, your Austrian number 1. I'd also recommend selling Salif Sane as well. He's a good centre-half, to be fair, 74 rated, but 30 years old. I'd look for someone younger in the very first season. We sold Farman there to Ibrox. Is he going to be the new Kloss? Oh man, that's a throwback right there. But I would recommend with Schalke, again, you've got a really good starting budget of around, again, 16, 17, 18 million pounds. I would recommend a new centre-half here. Again, you've got Salif Sane, who's 74 rated, but 30 I'd sell in the first season. You got Malik Thiaw, who's the really good young centre-half, but his starting overall at 71, you can get better. This is the guy I'd recommend. Worked with Frank Kramer at Bielefeld. His contract's up coming the end of the year. Amos Pieper, yeah, really great young centre-half to bring in German football. His contract coming the end of the year means you can get him for under the valuation. We spent under $4.75 million to get him, as you'll see, really cheap weekly wage, and he starts off 75 overall. He's just 23 years old. He grows to 79 overall with dynamic potential. No reason why he couldn't get into the 80s, and at 75 rated, he'll be your best centre-half in this team. For the money you spend, it's an absolute bargain. He's only going to get better. He's 6'3", really tall, reasonably strong with some great base defensive stats as well. And again, he'll be starting in your backline with Schalke at just 23 years old, but already 75 rated. I would recommend a new right back as well. If you look at the Schalke team, the weakest area on the pitch is at right back, and I would recommend a new one. You do, of course, have the youngster Aydin, who's got solid potential at 80, but his starting overall is quite low. You'll want someone a bit better for now, for the immediate future, if you will. And there are two names I'd recommend: Felix Agu or Werder Bremen, but also this guy as well. I've always been a big fan of this guy in FIFA Career Mode because he's very versatile. It's Joshua Wagnerman of Hamburg, who of course narrowly missed out on promotion this year, losing a playoff to Hertha Berlin. But again, you can get him for around his valuation, which is a really cheap deal. Once again, he's on a very, very low wage. Starts off 71 rated, more than good enough for the 2 league, and he's 20 years old, like Amos Pieper. He's got 79 potential. Our dynamic potential, of course, can get in to the low 80s as well. He's really quick, he's tall, he's reasonably strong, he's got a 4-star weak foot. Again, solid young player to pick up for your RTG here with Schalke. So we sold Salif Sane to Bournemouth in the end, and I would recommend a new goalkeeper as well. Also, we sold Ralph Farman to Rangers, and of course, we did give the new contract extension to Martin Freisel, but you probably will want someone a little bit younger than 28 years old if you are doing a long RTG, and someone with far more potential as well. This is the guy I recommend for practically any team that needs a new young goalkeeper. Martin van der Voort. Love this guy in FIFA Career Mode to pieces. Starts off 70 overall at KRC Genk, but just 19 years old with 84 potential. Yeah, Ralph Farman needs to go in the first season. Your Austrian shot stopper is 28 years old and not going to get much better than he is right now. Van der Voort is literally the future and what would be your number one for all the years you're in Gelsenkirchen. You can get him for around evaluation. Again, really dirt cheap wage, which doesn't blow your wage structure up whatsoever. And again, he's only 1 rating lower than Martin Freisel right now, at 70 rated, but he's 9 years younger with 84 potential. For the RTG, I would personally throw this guy right into the first 11. Freisel might be better right now, but Van der Voort, I'd expose him to as much game time in first team football as possible and have this guy as your starting number one for all the years you're in Gelsenkirchen. Playing as your number one for all those years is going to do wonders to his dynamic potential, and there's no reason why he can't get into the high 80s. So the final couple of signings I made here were to bring a couple more German talents. We signed this guy from FC Köln, Jan Thielmann, 19 years old, 72 rated right midfielder. We gave FC Köln Dadashov. He's a veteran striker who doesn't have any kind of first team quality or future in this Schalke team in the game, plus 4.5 mil, which is close to the valuation, so a very good transfer fee agreed there as well for the young German talent. 72 rated means you can go right into the first 11, if not on your bench. Personal preference, of course, but I really like this guy. He's very, very quick. He's got high work rate, so works really hard. And again, he shows great potential, and he's quite versatile as well. Quick, decent stamina, could play through the middle, can play on the flank. Really solid player, no doubt about that. You will want to train the low skill moves up, but other than that, he's really solid. I'll put him straight in the first team in the first season. Swap Harit to the left-hand side, have Thielmann on the right. To me, will be a great wide midfield duo here with Schalke. And the final signing I picked up with Schalke is this guy. If you've been watching my Who to Sign For series this year, then you'll know about him, because, I mean, I'll just be totally honest, there is not a better budget, versatile utility player in FIFA Career Mode. Bold statement, but I stand by it. I don't think there is a better budget versatile utility player to buy in FIFA Career Mode in the first season. This guy, it is Bezoa of Vitesse. His deal is upcoming at the end of the year, so you can get in front of the valuation. We spent £7 million to get him, which is practically all the money we had remaining in the bank, but I had to make sure this deal came off, because this is literally the ultimate player for an RTG to play anywhere. I mean, you look at his stats here, this guy literally can do anything. He can play anywhere on the pitch, maybe not between the sticks, but really, I mean, the only place I probably wouldn't play him is as a striker, or possibly as a natural winger, inside forward, I should say. I mean, he really can do anything. And to me, in the Schalke team, I think he'd be best, not as the natural CB, where he's listed at, but playing through the middle as a central midfielder. So I'd retrain him to CM. You know he's going to be much better playing further forward. That, to me, is exactly what I'd do with that amazing beast of a budget utility players. With Schalke, we just sold the 2 players in the end, but of course there are so many players that were signed here for the new season, so therefore we couldn't sell them in the first year, and we had to swap them like we did for a couple of our new signings. But I really like the young talent coming in. Because it is an RTG, you want to make your side younger. It's got quite a few aging players here, Schalke, and it does need to get younger. Yes, a couple of decent young talents in Tior and Aydin as well, but you want to add some more young talent in. We did that with the likes of Van der Voort and Thielman and so on and so forth, made this side much better, much younger, and in the first season, the objective, winning the league title like Schalke did in real life. Absolutely no doubt about it. You should be targeting that. Yes, there are some strong teams in the 2 Liga, Werder Bremen and Hamburg, for example, but I would still say champions is what you should target. And as we simulate the end of the season, we come towards the close. I felt very confident indeed we won the 2 Liga in the first season, and as you'll see, we did. We absolutely bossed it. 20 points clear of Hamburg in the end in second place. You got with us as runners-up, and Darmstadt are going to the playoffs. Once again, there are some decent teams in here in the 2 Liga. Werder Bremen are going up with Schalke for next year's Bundesliga. Hamburg finished in the playoff, lost to Hertha Berlin, so they remain in the 2 Liga. But again, you got the likes of Fortuna Düsseldorf, for example. It's a strong enough league, but really, with Schalke's team, I would say they're probably considered favourites to win the title like they did in real life. They've got the first team quality. And if you add in some young talent, your team's just going to get better as the year goes on, and you'll go from being favourites to win the league to strong favourites to win the league. As you'll see, my manager rating was very low because of this. You might wonder, wow, he won the title by 20 points. So you're like, why was your manager rating so low? Well, Arsenal reached the last 16 of the FA Pokal, knocked out by Sandhausen in the first round. So that was a big failure there. So no doubt of this being considered a critical priority, that was going to drop my manager rating quite low. But it doesn't really matter. First season, I'd say forget about the cup. Doesn't really matter one bit. The most important thing is quite simple. You get Schalke back into the Bundesliga like they've done so in real life, and I call that a successful season 1. And by the way, Bizarre, watch this, here we go. Oh, I love it. I love it. There's something about changing a player's position and watching him jump up in terms of the rating. It's a joy to witness it. It really is, man. Like, seriously. But yeah, great team to use those Schalke for an RTG. Again, it's not that long ago when they were in the Champions League and a regular European side, but how they've fallen since then, dropping to the 2 Liga at the famous Veltins Arena in Gelsenkirchen. They want to get back to where they fell from. They've got a decent starting budget. They are one of, if not the strongest sides in the 2 Liga, and there's no doubt about it. In Season 1, your mission is quite simple. Get them back to the big time, back to the Bundesliga, and try and start your RTG with silverware in the first season with a 2 Liga title as well. We did just that, and I definitely recommend these guys. They're a great team to use. There are a couple of decent young talents, again, like Kabak and like Aydin and like Tior as well, but it is a side that needs a major rebuild. Quite a few aging players that need to be shipped on. With the money you've got, you can replace them with really good young talent, many of which German as well, and you'll set yourself up, lay down the groundwork in Season 1, get yourself back into the big time, and aim for a really successful long-term RTG with Schalke. Really recommend them. Fantastic side to use for a German RTG in FIFA Career Mode. Well, this year and next as well when they're back in the Bundesliga. But that will end today's episode of Video Sign For, guys. Big fan of watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Video Sign For, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.